Start recording. Okay. Hopefully this works. Okay, so, welcome to the EmpathyBytes Spring 2024 Unity Workshop. It is February 16th. And yeah. So we got, where should we start? We should start with the Unity project. So I'm going to open that. Have you guys opened this spring 2024 GitHub repo before?
Yeah, I cloned it and then I tried opening in Unity.
And it looks good?
I think it was empty, like the scene was empty for me.
Well, I think you should open it and show me because we're going to be like working with it. And you may have just not like clicked on the correct scene. So yeah, this is what it should look like. Yeah, this is really annoying. How Unity is like forcing you into like account stuff. Anyway, should be fine. Okay. So are you guys like familiar with the Unity layout? What about you?
I haven't really started the Unity tutorials yet. I just finished all like the Blender stuff.
Okay. So really quickly, I'm gonna go through like the basic Unity layout,
Yeah.
so that you're like comfortable with the with everything, because it's kind of simple once you get to know it. But so at the bottom here we have our project. So like this is just a file explorer of the whole project, and this is actually like the actual file explorer. So if I go like GitHub and I go to like show and explore, you can see that this is the whole Unity project, and it is like, it looks the same. We have like materials, models, or it's actually in assets. Materials, models, all this stuff is the same. So this is like everything in the scene just references things that are in here. So this is like your real file directory, where you keep all your assets and scripts and everything. So if you like delete something from there, it is undoable because you can just like get it out of your trash can. But you should probably be using version control more than that anyway. But yeah, so we tend to like to keep things organized. So we keep all our materials in the materials folder, all our models in the models folder. We have a scripts folder. We have scenes folder. And so the next major thing is this scene in the main view. So this is like the game view, I guess, and then to navigate around it, it's kind of intuitive. It's WASD. You hold right click to move your camera around, and then while you're holding right click, you press WASD to move around, and then it's E to go up and Q to go down. And that's pretty much all you need. And yeah, so you can click on stuff and it will show up in the hierarchy. So this hierarchy on the left is basically like everything that is in the scene. So like if we click on this Georgia Tech campus, we can see that it's this game object, and you can move it around. And you can have children of things. So this is like the parent-children, kind of like a file, like a folder. But everything that is a child of something else basically uses the parent's coordinate system. So like if we have this canvas, like because this canvas is its own object, but because it is a child of this campus object, if I move the campus, the canvas will follow it. So like every like parent kind of has its own local coordinate system, and so you kind of have to be mindful of that. And it's not just like movement; it's also rotation and scaling and everything. So to do those, W is move, E is rotate. You can just click these buttons up here too, but you just like push buttons until you see what you want, pretty much. Scale. T is the rectangle tool, which is pretty cool, but that's, yeah. And then Y is my favorite because it's just like all of them. And so you can just like rotate stuff like this, and you see this canvas is following that as well. So now for every object in here, they all have components. So let's use this canvas as an example. This is a little complicated. So I'm actually going to enable the freshman dorm scene and hide the campus. So the reason, just for this project, the scene starts out with the dorm scene hidden because you don't see it at the start. But actually, when you, I can walk you through the logic, but when you click on so yeah, there's a script on this canvas, and when this silly little custom script that I wrote, it has the transform. Oh no, that's a separate script. Where's my real script? It's the cube. Right, so it's this yellow cube. When you touch this yellow cube. Oh, by the way, to move slower, you scroll down if you're going too fast. So I can move a lot slower if I'm looking at smaller things. And also you can hold shift to just speed yourself up if you want to just do something quickly without changing your actual speed. Okay, so on this little cube, this is a good example actually. Because this cube right here has like most of the like standard components, or like very common components you'll see based on the like applications you're doing. So to see the cube, you need a mesh renderer. So if I disable this, you see that you can no longer see it's this yellow cube. So if you want to make something invisible, just disable the mesh renderer. Mesh filter is kind of just like, it's a cube. Box collider. Anytime you want something to collide with something else, like physics, like you drop it on the floor and it collides, or in this case, colliding in terms of a trigger. So like when my finger touches this collider, then something happens, and it's not like a physics thing. And then you can edit the size of the collider by clicking this little node thing, and you can see it with this green outline. So if I want to make the collider taller, I just like drag that up, and you can see that right there. I'm going to undo that. And yeah, so now, and then for the color of a object, we have this material component. And normally to make a material, you have to go into your assets and then create a material right here. And then you can like change the color of it in here. And then you just drag this material onto the object. So you can see if I drag it onto here, it like changes the other materials. So if you're ever curious about how to like change the color of something, that's how you do it. So back to the cube. If there's like a bunch of children of something, you like just click multiple times until it like cycles through to the right one. Okay, so material, boom. So I have this little silly little script where basically, let's just open it. Let's have a little, please open. Are you gonna open the right? Yay, okay. So basically all this does is that, okay, jumping around a little bit again. If you have any questions or you want me to slow down, please let me know. And if you want me to go more in depth or explain something better, it's all up to you guys. There's only 3 of you, so I will make it as specialized to you as you want. So this has a lot of references in this script. So to just like when you're starting out the script, it's like simple kind of object-oriented stuff: private, game object, left index. But the thing I really love to do in Unity is if you put serialized field in the front of it, that basically means that it is visible in your component. So instead of manually typing in like, oh, gameObject.findTag or like gameObject.getName or something, and it's like complicated, you literally just drag and drop the object into here, and then there's no like, oh, is that the right object? There's no confusion. So yeah, and if you click on it, you can see the exact thing that it is referencing as well. And it's the hierarchy is a little complicated because there's a lot of components to make VR work really, but basically I just had to drag in 4 different index fingers because there's a left one, right one, and then when you're holding a controller, that's a separate left and right index. I don't know what these are. I don't know if I put those in. Hover distance, select distance, just some parameters. So you can serialize just numbers too. And then that's really convenient because you can enter play mode and then like edit a number while the game is playing so that you can like live update. You can test things live in the game. But then if any changes you make during play mode will not get saved. So you need to be careful about that. You're not like making edits while in play mode because once you like end play mode, it all gets deleted. So you like test things in play mode, stop play mode, and then apply them. And you can see I put a reference to these 2 materials because when I hover my finger over it, it will change colors. And then it basically just says, so yeah, so we initialized these variables here, and then there's a couple different like methods. So there's start. So anything you put under start will get called right when the game gets launched. So this is good for setting things up. And then there's on void update. So update gets called like every frame basically. So it's everything in here that is in update. It means it's basically constantly getting called, constantly checking if my finger is touching this cube. So here we're why is there a loading icon? That is funny. It's basically calculating the distance of each of the 4 index fingers from. So it says this.transform.position. This is referring to the cube because the script is on the cube. So it's the distance from the cube to each index finger. And then it says here, if any of these index fingers are less than the selected distance, then we activate the freshman dorm scene, which we know what that is because we dragged it into the serialized field like in here. And it disables the map. So it kind of, instead of like switching scenes, we're just enabling and disabling game objects right now because it's a little simpler. But we can do scenes later. I've never like done scene loading before, so it could be fun to learn.
The set active, is that like a method you make or is that like part of the...
No, so this is, most of the stuff that you call is like things built into Unity. So set active is literally just this checkbox right here.
Okay.
So when I do set active false, it just disables that. And that's the thing I like about Unity, is that it's kind of easy to debug because anything that happens, like for some like script to be triggered, it has to be a component on an object in the scene. So like if you're confused about why something is happening, you literally just like go through every object in the scene and you like see like, oh, what is this doing? I can see this script, I can open this script, I can see all of the components on every object. And there will be no voodoo because it just happens based on that. So this is stuff that, like, calling things like setActive, you'll have to just like learn. If you're using, when you're coding, you really need to have like IntelliSense working properly, because otherwise it will be impossible to know like what methods you can and can't use. So whether you're using like JetBrains Rider, which is like pretty recommended, or like VS Code, you need to make sure Unity is connected to it. So if we're in project settings and we click on, it's actually under file, preference or edit preferences. I like to just drag everything up here to make it simple. External tools and external script editor. Make sure that whatever you're using is selected here, or else it won't know and it won't give you good autofill. But yeah, so for like scripts like that, you just like, some of them are pretty intuitive, but you're gonna have to look stuff up. Like if you want to disable mesh renderer, you just say like this dot mesh renderer. Or like if you want to edit the transform of something, you say like this dot transform dot position dot x or something, and then like change that value. So it's like most of this stuff is like visible, and you just have to like call it. And then else if the distance is too far, or if it's under the hover distance, it changes the material to white. So it's yellow when you're far away, white when you get close to show that it is like interactable, and then when you touch it, so you're not hovering but you select, then it switches. And then otherwise, oh yeah, also, yeah, when you're too far away, the info card is also not shown. So that's just a little logic there. And then when we disable the map, it will also basically disable the script because it's inside of the map, so it just kind of like terminates. So that's a little script tutorial, I guess. Any questions? Does this seem... Oh.
So for the script, you connect Unity to an external like script letter, whatever we use, and then we just write it there, and then we have to like drag it to...
Good question, yeah. So normally when you want to make a script, you just click whatever object you want to use, like on this cube, you say add component, scripts, or no, new script, and just like name, new behavior script, name it, create and add. And so the script is already on here now.
And then it shows like, it can show up here, right?
Yeah, it will simultaneously add this script to your assets. And you want to drag this into the scripts folder so that it's organized. All this stuff I'm doing here, I'm going to roll back, so it's just like for tutorial purposes. But the other thing you can do is you can just go in here and you can say like create C# script, and then when you create it, then you can basically just like drag and drop it onto an object. Or shit. Actually, you might not be able to do that, but you just click add component and you search for the script, new behavior script, and then you add it. And all the scripts are just like C# scripts, and you can use whatever IDE you want, but JetBrains is pretty cool. I was reluctant, I was like stubborn, and I didn't want to use JetBrains for like a couple years, because I'm like, VS Code looks simpler, but it's pretty good.
I have VS Code, I like it.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions about that?
Could you go again about like opening like the script into your editor?
Yeah, so in the, where is this, preferences, if you just double click a script, it should just automatically open in whatever app is the default.
Okay.
Can you do that, or do you want to try that, or do you
Yeah,
want
I'm
to?
not good.
Whatever, it should, there should be a default. It should be like VS
Okay.
Code. Yeah, but still double check if the external tools are connected, because that might not be. Okay, any other questions about that? Okay, I'm gonna move forward into the more specific, I guess, VR stuff. So I'm going to basically, you may have gotten an idea of this from the tutorials that you've done already. Why did I make a cube? Oh yeah, I'm gonna delete that. So I'm gonna like go through the layout of the meta like camera rig. So like everything that happens in VR happens under this camera rig. And they've actually made it a lot simpler to set things up recently, and I'm very grateful for that. So that's why I had to upgrade the project to this new Interaction SDK V60. Before we do that, just general Oculus stuff. So this button, this tiny little button in the bottom right, is the most important button in the entire Unity app. Be best friends with this little guy. So when you first set up a project, or just any time, you click on it and you click Project Setup Tool. And it has this checklist of all these like check boxes that need to be correct for stuff to work properly. And it's good right now, but a lot of times something will turn off for no reason, and your build won't work, and you'll be frustrated, and you'll forget to check this and just be like, is everything good? So like just an example to show you, if I go into like project settings and I go into XR plugin management and I turn off Oculus and I turn on like, I don't know, I just do some shit over here. For PC I turned it into OpenXR instead of Oculus, which I maybe should not have done because it's taking a while. But no, I've messed up. Don't do that. I'm sorry. Please. No. Oh my God. Okay. So yeah, if you, yeah, I've left it up. So if you go into here, it says Oculus must be added to the XR plugin active loaders. So you just click Fix All, Apply All. It says OpenXR plugin is not recommended. Yeah, Apply All, and then it will think and it will fix it, and you're good. It's just stuff like that. Oh man, that's fun. Okay. That should be good. Yeah, it's all fixed. Very nice, thank you. So now when you set up a project, the other thing in here is building blocks. We love building blocks. This is a new feature. So basically, there's a ton of different options for like how you might want to set up a VR app. You see all these options. You definitely want camera rig. Pass-through is optional. We're using pass-through. Room model, surface projected, eye gaze. This we don't use, or you can use because you have Quest Pros, but not everyone has a Quest Pro, so we're not going to use that. Controller tracking, hand tracking, pointable item. This you can add as many as you want because it's just like a sample item. It's just it's an example of something that works, and you can like modify it or just like look at it and just copy what is on it onto your actual object that you want to interact with. Synthetic hands. So synthetic hands, by default, the hand that you see with hand tracking is the raw hand tracking data. So there is no, it's just always your hand, like your real hand. Why you want to turn on synthetic hands is so that based on things you do, the hand pose changes. So with synthetic hands, when I pick up an object, it can snap the virtual hand model to the shape of the object, and then it looks a lot nicer. Because normally your hand would just like phase through the object because it doesn't care. But synthetic hands basically allows you to like override that position and make it look nice. And I set this up, let me show you a little example first, just so you can see what I'm talking about, because it is really like magical. Shout out this guy, he's pretty cool. Yeah, so here's my summer like thing. I didn't actually have time to implement this, but you see how it snaps to the shape? And your fingers can even lift off of it individually, but not go through it. So that's like that. Yeah, I love it. And like, I don't know any other SDK that lets you do this, so it's really nice. But there's a thing called hand setup, and you basically have to like manually pose the hand and then like apply it to the object, but then it works. And you have to do it. You have to mirror it for your left and right hand. And you can have multiple grab points per object as well, and it will just snap to whichever is closest based on how, like, the direction that you pick it up from. So for example, if you have a mug, you can pick it up like from the handle, or you can pick it up from the top, and it'll just choose whichever is closest.
And you said you had to like make all the grab points yourself, or okay?
Yeah. So actually setting up a grab interaction for an object is pretty. It can take like 15 minutes if you know what you're doing. So, yeah, so there's a bunch of options. I already added a bunch of stuff in here. I added pass-through, controller tracking, hand tracking. That's about it, what we need.
How did you get to that?
It's the Oculus button and then building blocks.
Okay.
So you might not need this because the project is already set up, but if you want to like experiment or like add, you might want to learn how to do a pointable thing or something. So now to like go through the structure of the rig, the VR rig hierarchy, so that you can kind of get a feel for it. This is at the origin 0, 0. Do not move it. Everything will break if you move it. Because it like is like a scalar vector of the position from the origin, and you will spawn like 100 meters away of where you're supposed to. It's silly. So if you need to move the scene, if you need to move your spawn point, move everything around the origin. Don't move the spawn. Or actually, there's like a separate like checkbox for that. But oh yeah, so under the main camera rig, we see all of the building blocks that are enabled, which is pretty cool. This is all new. It's great. And then all of the main VR project settings are also under here. So you can look through target devices, Quest 2, Quest Pro, Quest 3. You want to turn that on. Tracking origin type, you almost always want to be floor level, because that means that the floor will be the same no matter what height you are. Otherwise, if you set up the project for someone who's 5'11", and then someone who's 6'7" tries it, or if someone who's shorter, if they're 5 feet tall, the floor will be underneath the real floor, and they will not be able to touch anything. But sometimes eye level makes sense if you want like a little like, I don't know, like Lego cube, like it's just floating in front of you. This stuff doesn't matter. General hand tracking support, controllers and hands. I made pass-through support required, scene support, anchor support, eye tracking support, face tracking support. This is all just like flags that, like, if you're using these, it will ask the user for permission when you launch the app. System splash screen, I just put the picture in here, so it's like it says like made with Unity, and then it splashes this picture, and then it loads the app, which is cool. And then build settings doesn't matter, security doesn't matter, experimental doesn't matter. And then enable pass-through, insight pass-through, we need that for pass-through, and then that's about it. This is the main thing. So actually, in one of my scripts, I turn on and off pass-through. So I drag the camera rig into the serialized field for the script, and then I basically, through the script, I say like turn off enable pass-through from inside of here somewhere. So like that's an example of how you can change things through scripting. So now going into the camera rig, we have so we have the tracking space, which you don't care about, and then interaction. Everything is under interaction. And they say building blocks now because that's what it is now. Are we good? Any questions so far? Okay. So when we go underneath interaction, we have the HMD, which we don't care about, and then we have hand tracking, which when we drop that down, we have left hand and right hand. So that's good. If we want to look in the left hand, we have all of this stuff. We have hand data left, which shouldn't matter. Hand features left, shouldn't matter. Oh, they changed the hierarchy of this. Huh. Okay, so you can basically, so underneath the left hand, you can see everything that is enabled. So we have this left grab object, and this has all of the stuff that you need to hook up for it. So it just shows you hand grab interactor. We have the rigid body, and I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It's fine. But if you, yes, if you do the drop down on that, there are some components like this pinch point collider. So this collider, if we look in closely, I don't know where it is. However, oh no, edit collider. Boom. So this, it looks like it's at the wrist right now, but I'm pretty sure that if we play the project, it will move to like when you pinch. And then for visuals, hand grab visual, there was something else here. Right. So actually I'm sorry, this is very like disheveled, but under tracking space, left hand anchor, you kind of just have to look through stuff to see where it is. So we have like left. Okay, yeah, wait, we still don't care about tracking space. But there should be somewhere underneath this hand where you can see the index finger bone, which is how I used that poking thing. So I'm just trying to show you like how to find stuff like that. Maybe left poke, yeah, hand index fingertip. So it doesn't show you where this is, but you can just assume that it's a little, this transform is like on the fingertip. So you can reference this game object position to get that poke thing. So yeah. Any questions? I know this is like a little more confusing, but you kind of get the idea. Like underneath this left hand, if left poke wasn't here, you would not be able to poke. If left grab wasn't here, you would not be able to grab, because you only add the like interactions that you want to happen, because depending on the game and the like the purpose, you don't want all of that to happen. So they just give you a lot of options. All right, that should be good for this right now. Now to quickly give you an idea of how to set up grabbing interaction inside of this freshman dorm scene. We're just gonna, so if we expand this, we have all the objects. It's good to keep things organized, just like, so I have all the objects inside of this thing, and you want to make sure that the transform of stuff like this is just 0 so that it's not complicated. Because actually, if you have the scaling of a parent wrong, like if the scaling of a parent is not 1, 1, 1, and then you try to rotate one of its children, it will like shear. It's like really weird. But yeah, so here's all our objects we have right now. We have a ramen bowl, panda box, Buzz Prison, ramen pack, Blue Donkey coffee, AirPod Pros, MacBook Air Quest 3. So just the ramen bowl is like a good example. You can also double click on it and it will just snap to it to find it if you don't know where it is in the scene. So this is where the real good stuff starts. So so let's just see what this interaction looks like first. It looks like this. Oh yeah, I guess you can see this poke. So it starts yellow. When you get close, it turns white. That thing turns on and it follows your camera view, because I wrote a script for that. And then when you touch it, when the distance gets even shorter, then it triggers the teleport. And then to pick up an object, this is what it looks like. You grab it, and you can see right now my hand is phasing through it and it's not snapping because I didn't set it up yet. It has its own little canvas that pops up, and it follows the object. And then when you let go, if you drop the object, it will respawn. And that specific thing is this nice little script here that just says, which one is it? Huh? Maybe I forgot to add it there. Huh. Maybe I didn't add it when I upgraded the. I think it might not be functional right now because when I upgraded it, yes, it's this script. Script cannot be loaded. This was like a respawn on dropped script, and they removed it for some reason. So that also doesn't work, but it's so simple that you could write it yourself. You could just say like save the transform when the object spawns on start, and then on update, if the Y transform gets 0.2 below that, then teleport back to the original location. That simple. We should add that. Someone should add that to the Trello.
Wait, why would it be like -2? Like, would that be if you just move it down like 2, would that make it respawn as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so you just kind of have to hold it.
Well, yeah. So I said -0.2 because here's a little unity measurement like reference point. One unity unit is a meter. So like that's like humans are like this is like 2 meters tall. So every time I make a project, I make a cube with a Y scale of 1.8 because 1.8 meters is like 5'11". So that's like 1.8 meters is like my height. So if you're not sure about like real world scaling, do that. And having that makes it really useful because if you want to make an object a specific length, like you take the default cube is 1 by 1 by 1 meter, and then you just scale it by like 0.5, and then it's half a meter long. So.
How does it know that you're holding it and moving it down versus dropping it?
It does not.
Okay.
So that was just a silly like oversight. Maybe that script did that, but to fix that, you just instead say if Y is less than 0.2 of the original and it is not being grabbed,
Okay.
then it respawns. So you could write that. Okay. So it's 102. Do you guys have commitments or
No.
okay. Sweet.
Food, but
Yeah.
I can wait a little bit.
Yeah, we're kind of near the end if that's fine. Okay, so we have this object and we say, how do we want it to be grab interactable? So the best way to learn things in Unity is to reverse engineer stuff. So we can actually just go to this building blocks. We can say add grabbable item, and then it adds this grabbable item into the hierarchy. It's just like this silly little cube at the origin on top of this other stuff. And we can look at all the components and we can see like what it needs. So all this stuff is standard. We need a box collider, rigid body. Rigid body you need for physics. So mouse and drag you can probably just leave the same. And then you want to turn on use gravity, or else it will just like be there. I still don't know what kinematic means. I'm just controls whether physics affects the rigid body. Maybe. I don't know. Because sometimes I turn it on and stuff breaks. So we need a grabbable script which Oculus made. Transfer on second selection I like to turn on because it means like if you're holding something with one hand and then you pinch it with the other hand, it will just do that. Instead, if that's not turned on, if you're holding something and you grab it with another hand, it won't do anything. This is all stuff that you have to like keep in mind, or like think about, because none of it is taken for granted.
So adding a grabbable object is just like adding any other thing, like an image or something, and then you have to like pick what is actually showing up.
So it's you have any object you want, and then you add scripts, you add script components to it.
I think this guy.
Oh, okay. You add script components to it, and those scripts like determine it.
And then
Hi. Oh, what's up?
Excuse me, we booked this room from 12:45.
Okay, we are just yeah, not supposed to be here. So we'll get out in a second. Wait, excuse me. Do you want? Excuse me. Do you need it now, or could you wait a little bit? If you need it now, we can. I don't know, maybe like 5 minutes just wrap it up. But if you want to eat now, good now. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I'll wrap it up quickly. Maybe we can just move out there if you want to have like a build question. Okay, so we have grabbable, hand grab interactable is also required, and there's different stuff here. And then there's a couple other things like physics grab interactable or physics grabbable. To add this, you need this for it to like drop when you let go. And then there's another component for, this is where you add underneath hand grab interactable, this is where you add hand grab pose. So you see these hand grab poses and you can add one. And now it has this hand grab pose child. And if you go to the hand grab pose, you can edit it. And you might just have to look at the document. Oh, the joint angles, like, wait. Next. Yeah, you might just have to look at the docs for this, but you can see like the thumb is locked, but the middle and ring finger, they're constrained, which means that they can be lifted up. And then free means that it can go through, so the pinky finger can go through the object, and that's like just like default stuff. So if we look at this, I'm wrapping this up real quick. I'll tell you how to build real quick, and then we leave. Ramen bowl, rigid body, box collider, hand grab interactable, physics grabbable.
Where did you show that it's not a box anymore and it's actually like the ramen bowl?
Oh, I'm looking at two different objects. So I was just referencing this grabbable item like example thing that I spawned in, but the ramen bowl was the one that I set up. So when you go into building blocks and you click add grabbable item, it just adds an item, and I was just referencing that as like an example. So
how do you switch from the grabbable item to make it?
so let's say for any given object, let's say I make like.
Do you just directly import it?
No. Let's say if I duplicate, like, if I spawn in an object, and I just say like create 3D object sphere, right? This sphere in here. If I wanted to make this sphere grabbable, I have to add the components, like grabbable.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So you have to add all of the components that make it work.
Sense.
Hand grab interactable. Damn. Like that.
Got
And
it.
there's even different like subcategories that you have to look in the documentation for. So you add the scripts to any object you want, and then it should work, and you have to test and that's it. So that's a quick thing on grabbing. Now to build your project, this is what you do. You go to edit. No. File, Build Settings, and it gives you this window. It might be on Windows by default, but you have to click Switch Platform to Android. So you have to bid it on Android. You click Switch Platform, you wait for it to load, and then you click Refresh. You plug in your Quest, which we don't have time to do, but you plug in your Quest. You click Refresh, and you should see like the Quest show up here. You select it, and then you click Build and Run, and you can just save it into the Builds folder, and replace whatever build you have because it doesn't matter. You just click Save. You can replace the build. You click Yes, and then it will build the project. Because your Quest is plugged in, it will transfer the project to the headset over USB, and then it should just launch in the headset. So you put the headset on and you test it, and it's like a packaged Android app that's running in the headset. And sometimes with pass-through, it doesn't work the first time, so you have to quit the app and then open it again from like the app library.
Okay.
So you don't build it again, you just open it again.
Yeah, once the project is built on the headset, it is just like an app on the headset, so you can keep it there as long as you want, and it's just like a normal app.
But whenever you make changes, you have to rebuild it.
Yeah, you have to rebuild it. And you have a gaming laptop, so you could run the project straight from the PC to save some time. But I can walk you through that later if you want, or you can maybe figure it out on your own. Any questions?
Only like when you're doing like the grab points, is that like something you do in Unity or like does it put on the objects?
It's something you do in Unity. It's slightly complicated because Meta has like a specific scene that you have to like run with the headset connected to your computer if you want to record a hand pose like in VR.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I was just manually moving the rotation of the index of the fingers until they lined up. So you may like that's
When you have like add the grabbable scripts, do they automatically have like a grab point in it, like in the objects?
No, by default there's no grab point. So it's like that's like something you have to set up extra. So how did you feel about today's workshop? Do you have any feedback?
It was good. I just got to do more like on my own, like actually like using it and actually like, building into that headset.
I think it would be nice to like replay the video. I'm glad it was recorded.
Yeah.
It was a lot of good information.
Okay. I appreciate that. And I can do this. I can do more of these if you want. I will upload this and share it.
I have to catch up.
Okay. Thank you for attending today.
Don't forget to like stop the recording too. But
Yeah.
I think another workshop would be good. Be like actually like doing the VR like, next time we get time.
Okay.
Yeah,
like,
we need to have an actual room and time as well, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Tim and
And I
Shannon.
did have a question.
Oh, yeah.
On like getting this to like show up.
Oh, go to so this is just untitled scene. So you go to the scenes and you click. Wait. Yeah, it's labeled sample scene, I think. Yeah, and there you go. Now you can see the scene.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Have a good day.
You too.